know you're crazy, but I only wanna be with you. You think I'm shady cause I'm out here trying to make some moves, but it ain't like that. Just know that I'll be right back. I'll give you all my time just to let you know you're mine. It ain't nothing. Promise I'ma do it all to give you something. This love I got is only for you. You're my comfort, my future husband. I'ma give you all my heart, yeah, all of it, yeah. Baby, I know that I gotta come fix it. You the only nigga that I be missing. Swear I'm coming home to give you the business. Turn off my phone, it can leave me a message. I'ma just cover your body with kisses, kisses. Rub your body down, you know that I miss it, miss it.
Now let's gonna start to attack from the mount, but before we start to show the position, I'd like to explain how I develop this kind of position, the mount. You know, I have been training jiu-jitsu for the last 40 years, and the last 15 years I start to really study the mount. So at the beginning, when I mount, I like to squeeze my opponent with my legs, like, you know, I like to mounting a horse, like a squeezing, you know, but every time he bumps, my body was tight with his body, so follow his moves. You go to the side, bump to the side, you know, my body, because my leg was so tight of his body, we're gonna move together. So then I realized that and start testing different ways to mount. I realized that if I spread my knees and keep my feet close or under his hips, and my using my foot, you know, like a shell, like a spoon behind his hips, it will keep more easy for me, keep my balance. It will be easy for me, so keep my balance. So when he bumps, I have my, go to the side, I have my knees to even if he push, to help me to keep my balance, even if he push my knees. So the fact that I'm gonna keep my foot close and under his hips, when he try to push, my foot go under the lap, and I sitting over the lap, you know, he pushing, gonna making harder for him to escape. So, and it will be easy for me, so if he try to escape here, or I'm gonna fight, you know, pulling his arm, or I'm gonna control the head and bring the head to the opposite way. So, mounting, spreading, you know, my knees, open my knees, making easy for me. After some time, you know, of jiu-jitsu, after many years of jiu-jitsu and many years studying the mount, I realized that instead to squeeze the body, opening my knees would be easier for me. But there are more details that I have to show you. How to bother my opponent from the top. But before that, I would like to show you how I like to mount. So that I have been doing with gi and no gi. And the good that this position is that
Welcome to Happy Hour with Lito. I am your host today. I have a special guest, former UFC champion, Brazilian top team founder, also IBJJF champion, former Pride veteran, Murilo Bustamante. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here, Kevin.
Thank you, sir. The pleasure's all mine, believe me. So I like to start off every, conversation and just want to, I'm a huge mental health guy. So, I just want to ask how you're doing today And how have you been able to kind of function through this whole COVID situation all over the world?
I'm good. The situation in Brazil was very bad the last couple of weeks, the last month, but getting better. We had a short lockdown a couple of weeks ago, so now it seems that the situation is getting better, which is very good for everybody from Brazil. We're doing our best to manage the situation, not only in my academy in Brazil, but trying to help my associates around the world to manage the situation, this issue with the COVID. But fortunately, my associates in US, they already returned for their activities. They reopened academies that were closed. A lot of academies closed for short time, very short time in Texas and Florida. I believe that was the states in US that they had the shortest lockdown.
Okay.
But business returning, everybody is having his students back. So what is great. So I know a lot of people had to close some studios, their studios, or a lot of small business closing around the world, not only in Brazil. So what is very bad.
Yes, sir.
But I cannot complain. My students helped me to get over this issue, and and I'm still, we're still having a hard time in Brazil, not completely gone, this issue, but, we're working, I reopened the academy, so we're working, some students training, we have, some, have to take care, of the students, keep the distancing, and a lot of alcohol,
so not a lot of rolling
to clean. Yeah, some rolling, but carrying with masks. So still not, we're still not completely normal back in the routine, but we're working what is good.
Yeah, I think we have a long road ahead of us. I think people they believe it's going to be done so fast. But even with the vaccine, you can still catch it, even with the vaccine that they're giving out. So just got to be careful all the way around. It's still bad over here, but I think other countries are doing it a little better than us because they're opening up a little slower. We're trying to just get right back on the ball over here. And I don't know if that's the best thing because a lot of times you have setbacks because of that. So, yeah. So for those people who don't know a lot about you, like give us a little bit of your story growing up. Were you always interested in jiu-jitsu in Brazil, or did you see somebody doing it and you wanted to get into the field?
I started jiu-jitsu when I was a kid, from around 10 years old. My oldest brothers, they already trained under Carson. And they used to, to take me there to enjoy the environment. And then I like it and start training. And I got addicted to jiu-jitsu and I started to compete. So I started to compete when I was a teenager. And since then, I couldn't stop competing anymore. So I started teaching jiu-jitsu to pay my studies in university. And when I got my graduation in economics, I couldn't work in anything else but jiu-jitsu. So I keep teaching and fighting, and I never ever work with my, the profession that I work for, that I study for. that's it, man. I'm in love with the sports. I like martial arts in general. I have been practicing different styles of martial art, different disciplines because of love of martial arts. I trained in judo as well, boxing, and then wrestling for 8 years with my former coach, Daryl Goller. That was American, very good wrestler, an excellent coach. And everything. I try to keep my mind open to learn the most I could in martial arts to add to my style, because I fought as a professional fighter in Vale Tudo a long time ago, and then I went to the MMA. So I tried to learn the most I could to add to my style to fight. So I learned my style from my old master, Carson Gracie, that he teach me the way, he showed me the way to go, and it was a solid jiu-jitsu, very efficient, and that, easy to apply fast in the real situations. And I tried to learn the most I could, from everything to create my own style to play, because of my body type, of course. Each one has his own style to do things, because of body type preference.
Right.
So, I until now, I try to keep my mind open to learn the most I can. A lot of, the new generation, they create a lot of good stuff, and a lot of stuff that that is not good for me, but doesn't mean that it's not good. But I try to learn everything I can. So, but the one thing that I understood earlier that helped me a lot, that the fundamentals are the way. In jiu-jitsu, the fundamentals are the way to apply, to have a solid style, a solid jiu-jitsu. It helped me a lot when I was fighting as a professional fighter. So
okay. So I know a lot about jiu-jitsu, just being over here, because I just enjoy the Brazilian culture, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu was one of the first things, I believe, when I first seen the first UFC. Royce Gracie was like my favorite fighter for a long time. So I want to ask you about certain submission holds, like Rousimar Paul Harris. Are you familiar with who he is?
Yeah, he was my student for a couple of years. Yeah.
Okay, This is great. Okay, so he got kicked out of the UFC because he was using leg locks, but he was hanging on for too long. Now, is that something, like, for when people were tapping out, he still would hold on to the hold? Is that something that, with him being a former student of yours, do you is that normal? Like in Brazil, do they hold on to the hold a little longer, or do they let go right away? Or was he just, I guess I'm just trying to ask, was he doing it because that's all he knew, or was he doing it, to be dirty, because they were trying to say he was a dirty fighter?
I don't know. This answer is pretty, it's pretty hard. Only himself can answer that.
Yeah.
It's not normal. I always release. I got a problem on one of my fights when the Big John sent me. He asked me to release the position against Matt Lindland, and I released, and he restarted the fight. So it was something that affected very much, But even that, after this fight, I always release positions. But when I was coaching Rousimar, I told him to hold till the referees, send him to stop. So, but then he has his own, way to think. So it's up to him. This question is better you ask him.
Yeah.
I don't know what passing his people's mind, but
yeah.
But talking about myself and the academies, my academy, Brazilian top team, and my association, we try to don't hurt training partners. We care each other. We train hard, since the Carson Gracie School. Used to train very hard. The training wasn't easy, but people didn't hurt each other. So
yeah, I just thought that
you
was
know,
kind of because I
that's
enjoyed
my
watching him fight.
thoughts.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching him
He
fight.
he has amazing skills.
Yes, sir. So how important was UFC, to Brazil in the beginning, because since it was dominated by Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters like Royce Gracie? How important was it? Did that play a part in you wanting to come to the UFC eventually?
Actually, I fought before UFC. First time I fought was 91. It was, I believe it was the last challenge between disciplines. Big challenge between disciplines in Brazil, like the jiu-jitsu was involved. We fought against Luta Livre. So, and I didn't, at the time, I just fought because jiu-jitsu needed people to represent, to fight for jiu-jitsu. And because I was a top fighter at the time, a black belt, it was winning the most of competitions, I thought I should be involved in this kind of challenge and put my name in, and I wanted to fight, and then I fought. I was good, but I didn't plan at the time to be a professional fighter. But passing time, they create UFC, they create, they launched Pride in Japan, so the business grew a lot. So then made me brought my interest to fight around the world. So I looking for competitions, and I got an invitation in '96, and then I returned to fight in Brazil, and then I fought in UFC in the martial arts reality super fighting, when I fought the final against Tom Erickson. And then I fought in Brazil in '97. I fought against Jerry Bolander, that was one of the top fighters, middleweight fighters in UFC at the time. He was a great fighter. We had a very good match in Brazil. It's super tough. So, and then I won this fight, and then I remember I attended the UFC, I think it was '98, because one of my students would fight Carlon Barreto. And I met Archie Davis. Archie Davis was one of the founders of UFC, and he said he want me to fight in UFC, and then next you're gonna bring me to the show, but they sold UFC, and they only invite me to fight in 2000, and then I signed up to fight in Japan, and I fought once in UFC in 2000, and then they sold again UFC for the Zuffa, and then I fought at 2001, the first show in Las Vegas. So it was when I decided to be a professional fighter, then I look up to be the best events in the world. So, and then I fought them. I fought UFC and I fought Pride. So it was awesome.
So talk about, you mentioned the Matt Lindland fight. When Big John pulled you off, it was an error, of course, on his part. Talk about the kind of, like, how were you able to get refocused after? Because a lot of times, when you thinking a fight's about to be over, and I think that happened with Anderson Silva also. When he was fighting Michael Bisping, he thought he won, and he didn't. They ended up fighting again, and he ends up losing the fight. In your case, you won. What type of focus do you have to have in order to get back into it, kind of, when you've been pulled off or whatnot?
Yeah, I believe this situation was one of the three hardest situations I had as a professional fighter. MMA is a very mental sport. It's very important that you have a strong mind to handle all difficulties that you pass during the training time. You have to get over injuries, and you have to prepare yourself to fight, against a professional fighter in front of thousands of people that will be broadcast for 1 million people. So, and this was a challenge because when you think you win the fight, you kind of relax. Your mind normally, I believe that anyone will relax with the feelings. So then you have to return to the fight, to fight again, to prepare. So it's very hard for anyone. So I thanks God, I could recover my mind and in my focus. But it wasn't easy. I lost completely my focus in the first round after Big John interrupted the fight. And if I opened the cage, maybe I would leave because I was so frustrated, disappointed that because in fighting a professional fighter, at my case, I fought the guy that was super tough. It was 7-0, I think his record was at the time. So he never lost. So it's supposed to be a very hard fight. And thanks God, I did everything right. And I got a submission the first round, in the middle of the first round. So then, it was, and then I had to fight after that. So it was very hard, man. I think I had something, a personal skill that I work to make it better. I control my mind very well during the hardest time possible. I can't control myself and my feelings, but I have been practicing yoga. That it helped me to focus and have a very good focus during the preparation, during the fight. So I keep my mind focused on the goal.
Right.
So, and I believe that it helped me to then I lost, returning to the fight, I lost my focus completely in the first round, and I had to return. I couldn't fight well. So he pushed me against the fence, and I just defend myself. So then during the break, my staff, my coaches, they calm me down, try to talk to me and calm down to the next round. And then the second round, I fought a little bit better, but even that, I wasn't completely, I think only in the second half of the second round, I could return well to the fight. And then the third round, I was completely focused and very upset. So, and then I could put all my frustration, and use it well on my behavior, So, I mean, putting on my side, to work to my side, working for me. So I use my frustration, my disappointment to motivate myself to fighting harder, to fight harder possible. So then it helped me.
Okay. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask you about that because, like I said, when I watched the fight with Anderson and Michael Bisping, he gave him a flying knee, and the ref came in like it was over, but he then in turn said no, he's not down. I was like, wow, that's kind of, he's thinking that he's celebrating, he's on top of the cage. They had opened the cage at that point.
Yeah,
he had to reset and try to get himself back into the fight, and he ends up losing by decision. I was just like, that's not fair, it's not fair at all. That was terrible. But you were the very first Brazilian UFC middleweight champion. How important was that for you to win that, for not just for yourself, but for your country?
Yes, I think at my time, there was two fighters doing well in the UFC. It was me and Pedro Rizzo. Rizzo,
heavyweight champion.
He fought very well against Yeah, heavyweight champion. For me, he's a heavyweight champion. Heavyweight champion. He won the fight against Reggie Culture. Anyway, I think we show, the way for the younger fighters that was possible to win a belt. So we had, good Brazilian fighters before, like you said, like Royce Gracie in the UFC and Marco Ruas. They did a great job. Vitor Belfort fought before. He won a small tournament. But then it was a different time. It was they created the divisions. So then it was a new era, I believe, in UFC. A lot of good fighters. It wasn't easy at all. So I think I prepared myself very well, and I was completely ready when I got a chance to fight for the belt. I was very confident that I could do it, and thanks God I did. And I believe it showed the way for the youngest fighters that if a Brazilian could do it, they could do it as well. So we have a strong generation of fighters after me that they did great around the world, not only UFC but in Pride and nowadays in UFC and ONE FC and in Japan. So all over the world, we have very good Brazilian fighters. So I think I had some. I'm glad that I believe I had some good influence for the younger fighters.
Yes, sir. Because Brazilian jiu-jitsu is so important, I believe, when it comes to trying to be a complete MMA fighter. Because most wrestlers, they want to try it and just get you down and hold you down, but you can't do that against someone that knows jiu-jitsu. You gotta kind of want to stay on the feet, because you get someone down like that, they can grab an arm, grab a leg, anything. So I remember watching.
What
were you saying?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying I remember when they used to let you wear a gi inside of the octagon. You could use your gi to choke someone out.
I never fought with a gi, but because it's just too much advantage for the opponents. I wear a gi to get in my entrance. I would like to use the gi because I was representing my discipline there. So jiu-jitsu, I came from jiu-jitsu. I was a jiu-jitsu fighter. So for me, it was important to wear, the kimono that could represent me as a jiu-jitsu fighter. But I believe that jiu-jitsu is the most efficient discipline among all disciplines. So the most efficient, if, as you said, if you took down a good jiu-jitsu player, he can submit you. You can punch him, but So, and then I came from a time that it was a fight, among disciplines. Each fighter representing a discipline. Nowadays, everyone try to know the most they can. So you won't see a good fighter, a champion, that they don't know jiu-jitsu. Because if they don't know jiu-jitsu, it's easy.
Yeah.
You just have to take them down. One time they're gonna take them down, and sometime it's gonna happen, and then you're gonna be in trouble. Doesn't matter how good he is standing. So all of them, they have a jiu-jitsu coach. So what is good for the sport? I think MMA helps to spread the disciplines. How important are the martial arts? So it's very good advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
So for all disciplines, because it doesn't exist MMA without the disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
So MMA is a lot of disciplines together. So to be an MMA fighter, you must know at least 2 or 3 disciplines.
Yeah, at least.
To be a good
fighter. If you know the only one, you miss something. If you're a jiu-jitsu player, you can play self-defense. You must compensate with very good takedowns. But even that will be hard. But it doesn't make sense that jiu-jitsu players don't learn striking game, So, and opposite side strikers, they don't learn jiu-jitsu or grappling.
Yeah,
so,
usually, unless I mean, Anderson Silva was probably the first person that I knew, or that I really saw that knew Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but he could stand with you too, and just bang, bang, bang. He didn't care to get on it. Yeah, he preferred to stand.
Anderson is a very good example that a striker that learned Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and then opposite way. Guys from jiu-jitsu learning striking game, But I believe that they should keep their own style
mm-hmm.
and use, because sometimes you go, a striker goes to the ground, so they must know what to do there, defend themselves, and because if they don't know, they'd be in trouble.
So Brazil has had some of the best champions the UFC has ever seen. I mean, from Jose Aldo to yourself, Anderson, Amanda Nunes, she's great, awesome. Vitor, Nogueira. So it's so many people that are just great fighters. And I love to see that. Like I said, I mean, I love every UFC event. I still watch every pay-per-view. Do you still watch it today?
Yes, I have been watching. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch the last one. I would like to watch the Masvidal and Usman fight. I couldn't because I was busy,
mm-hmm.
but I will do it. And talking about the champions. We had the Brazilian time, then after American time, a lot of Americans champions, and then Russians appears in Japan and now in UFC, and now the Africans.
Yes.
So that's I think it's great, the sport, because it makes people must training more. Right. Improve their games, because not easy. All over people training, so talents, people with good skills all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So the Africans now, they came to prove it. So, I'm glad to see that this kind of, how can I say it, that is changing, on top the races.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a Chinese champion female that lost the last event, right? For
Weili Zhang. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lost for the former champion as well. What's her name? The skinny girl.
Rose Namajunas.
Namajunas. Yeah. This fighter, I saw the knockout.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's also for the sport, because it helps to spread the sport around the world,
mm-hmm.
And all martial arts go after,
mm-hmm.
go together. So it's a good advertisement for all martial arts, all disciplines.
Right.
So that's good for the sport.
Can you imagine if Francis Ngannou learns jiu-jitsu, how crazy he would be?
Oh my God. Oh my God. It seems that his arms has like 2 meters or 3 meters each one, He can reach the opponent so far away.
Yes.
It's powerful punches, But I believe that, he studies something. I believe that probably he's trying to learn something on the ground. Because, to be on top, it's very hard. You arrive on top, it's super hard. But
right.
Stay there is even harder.
Mm-hmm.
So, because everybody knows your game. So you'll be the fighter that everybody going to study your game to beat you.
Right.
So you'll be under the lights. So, to stay there, you must improve your game every time. create new tricks, new traps. So
now you were not beaten for the middleweight belt, were you? You vacated.
yes, it was a contractual issue between me and UFC, disagreement, and then I left to nowhere. And then after that, I left the show, but I didn't have anything to go, anywhere to go at the time. And then later, Pride hired me as a fighter.
Was it hard for you to, because Pride allowed certain things that UFC didn't allow, as far as like knees to the face when you're on the ground and stuff like that? Was it hard to kind of transition to that, or it was easy for you?
Nah, it wasn't hard. You just have to, if you're a fighter, if you're smart, you can adapt yourself. So the rules.
Gotcha.
So it was funny because in Pride you could kick the opponent face on the ground, but you couldn't use the elbow. So what, man? You guy on the ground, you can stamp, you can kick his face, but elbow not allowed. Okay.
I didn't know that. Good. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Crazy.
I didn't know that. You can stomp him right in the head, but you can't elbow.
Yes. No elbow.
Oh man. Last question. So you created Brazilian Top Team, and now I heard that there was a rivalry between Brazilian Top Team and Shoot the Box. Was that true?
Yes, it was a rivalry that happened in Pride. I wasn't in Japan when it happened. It was a silly reason, like a very silly reason that everything happened. And nowadays, people already, talking and fixing the situation. So no more bad feelings at all for both sides. But at the time, it was a very silly situation. And I misunderstood. Mm-hmm. But in the end, it was very good for everybody involved. It was good for Brazilian Top Team, it was good for shooting boxing, it was huge for Pride, because the rivalry brought the attention for the audience, for the fans, to the show, to the teams. Mm-hmm. So, it was a guarantee that we have fighters fighting in Pride every show. So every show there was a Brazilian Top Team fighter, 1 or 2 or 3, and shooting box fighters. So have jobs, for our fighters. So the academy, the teams were full of people, people training, all of them fighting. It was a great time. So in the end, the rivalry was good. Talking about business.
Gotcha. One more question. Who do you like today? Who do you like to watch?
MMA?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like, a lot of fighters. I like the Russian, the Peter, the new champion, Peter Yan. Peter Yan, mm-hmm. Peter Yan, yeah. Mm-hmm. Nurmagomedov was the best pound for pound, in my opinion, when he left.
Yes.
I love his game because he could do everything. And his last fight was amazing. He fought a super tough fighter, and he fought standing, he take him down, and in the end, he submit him. So it was an awesome fight. Amazing.
And he had a broken foot, too.
Yeah. So it's super tough and super smart, a lot of good skills. So I like Adesanyas, very good stand-up, training jiu-jitsu, as I said. Usman is super tough. Mm-hmm. What else? Amanda is a monster. She's a monster. What else? Glover. I love Glover. I hope he got the belt against the Polish guy. Super tough.
Yeah, and Glover's a great guy.
Great guy, yeah. And Charles Oliveira is an amazing fighter. He does everything well.
I think he'll have the belt soon.
Striking. Yeah, I hope. I like his style very much. So I like Nuganu, and Miocic was a great match. But Nuganu is a monster as well. Super hard to fight him. Yeah, he fought very smart. And Miocic is a monster as well.
Yes. Yes.
great, smart, good style. I like his style, stand up, playing well, you know, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
John Jones, man, playing a good, you know, good fighters. So it's, you know,
John Jones just got to get his
I
mind right. John Jones has to get
yeah,
his mental.
yeah. John
Right.
Jones is a great fighter. He's super smart, unpredictable. His best skills is to be completely unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to watch his fight against Ngannou.
Ooh, that's going to be.
Yeah, it would be awesome. If John Jones prepare himself well and Ngannou as well, so it will be this will be a huge
Yeah.
match.
If he beats Ngannou, nobody can take that away from him. Nothing, you know. He beats Ngannou for the belt. He'll undoubtedly be probably the greatest of all time to do it.
Yeah. It will be hard.
Yeah. It's going to be hard.
Match.
It's going to be hard.
You're
going to have to take some pain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because Ngannou hits hard.
Oh man, his punch can, you know, destroy a build, man.
Yes.
And the reach is amazing, and how far he can reach the opponent, you know.
Yeah.
Bang.
His arms are longer than 2 inches longer than John Jones. 2 inches.
Yeah, man, that's the problem, you know. To approach him is to take him down, it must be fast and perfect timing. Boom. If you made a mistake, you're gonna catch him.
Yep, going to sleep. If you make a mistake, you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, you know what, Murilo, I appreciate you doing this for me. This was great for me. I am a super duper fan of everything fighting. So I just wanted to make sure that I was able to talk to you today. Do you have anything that you would like to promote at this point?
No, thank you. Soon I will launch my instructional videos. So, you know, I will let people know, advertise my social media. So it'll be a good stuff online. So I have a lot of, you know, I believe I have a strong game with MMA and jiu-jitsu. So I put everything available for people that interest. So we'll have a good stuff online pretty soon.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, y'all, this was Happy Hour with Lito with Murilo Bustamante. Y'all can check him out on his social media, and we're gone.